What's going on, avatars? This is your one and only Violet Ronso here again with another Bard video. Today we're going to be taking a look at sieges, which is something that is it's a very interesting concept in the game, where towns are under attack by the Obsidian Order. There is these Kabbalists that will spawn in certain areas. These are big bosses that you can fight. They will drop their hoods, they will drop weapons. These are very interesting artifacts that players will often buy for quite a hefty sum. They drop a decent amount of wood, and you have a daily quest in it which you can complete, which gives you a Shield of Attraction, which is a shield that most PvE players like a lot. First thing I want to show you, and in the description you should find this information, you should find this link, is here the Moongate Travelers Siege Mapper. This website here, which is simply like I said, you're going to have the link in the description, but when you come here, you see each different Kabbalist that you could hunt, and then the current and next location. So as you can see here, if someone wants to access the Dolus hood, they would try to kill Dolus. And during the next 20 minutes, Dolus is going to be at the Resolute Sieges. So you can use this map here to kind of decide where you want to go and fight your sieges when you want to do sieges. For right now, we are sitting by Aerie, which has Avera as a Kabbalist for now. So we will be fighting Avera right now. So a siege can be shown here by on the overworld map by burning crates, some catapults, a bunch of everything around the map. And you also see in the information for the town, it is called a besieged town instead of being a town. When you click the enter area, you are prompted with a siege warning, which you can then enter, bypass, or cancel. Clicking bypass will let you go back into the town, no problem. In our case, we want to enter the siege to defend Aerie. So now what I'm going to do is, first things first, I'm going to show you the gear and the decks that I use. I use multiple decks for these now. I have been making a heavy armor bard, contrary to the other videos I made before, which was a light armor bard, a cloth bard. So for our deck here, we are going to be using these three decks here. So we have my heavy buff start. This deck here has my atonal area, my melody of mending, and my refrain of resistance stacking in these three slots. So I have atonal, melody, and refrain. In this last slot here, I have all the songs that can pop up. So whenever a song pops up, it comes here. And then if a duplicate comes, it's going to pop up here, and I can simply drag and drop it here. Or in my case, this is M3, the side button on my mouse. So I hold the side button down, and then I tap 1, which is going to act as a drag and drop feature. I have Mind Lock here to keep my stacks up while I am fighting. And then I have my buffs. So for this deck, which is my start point, I use Spellbinder Stance to increase my draw speed, which will let me stack my songs much faster, and then it decreases my cast time, which will let me cast my buffs faster. In terms of buffs, since I am heavy armor, I'm going with Strength of Earth, Shield of Crystal. I have Aetheric Feedback here, which I do not really use for here. I have Defensive Stance. Then on my second deck, these 5 slots here are exactly the same. Now the important thing to note is that whenever you have a dynamic deck, which its slots are identical to another deck, so in this case, both my decks have these 4 slots set up exactly the same way, when I change decks, I do not lose my stack. So if all these songs were stacked up to 6, I change my deck to between these two decks I've just shown you, these stacks will remain at 6. So on this deck, I have, once again, my defensive stance, and then I have Bolster Balance and Inner Strength. This is from the Shield combat tree. This is from the Heavy Armor combat tree. I then have Earth's Embrace for the damage resistance from the Earth magic tree, and then Healing Grace in case I need a bit more healing. And then we have my third and final deck for these, which is my deck that I use mainly once everything's buffed up already. So I'm going to have Charge from the Shield tree, which is going to let me zip around from enemy to enemy when they die. I'm going to have my Knight's Grace to remove stuns, bleeds, and slow effects. I'm going to have my Glancing Blow for the damage avoidance, and Deflect for the combat block modifier. And then a Healing Touch just for emergency healing. I also use the Water Elemental sometimes, not every fight, so as you can see here I will not be using it, but I have the Summon Water Elemental up quite often to simply keep me healed up a bit more. In terms of armor, I am currently wearing full Meteoric Iron armor, as well as a Earth Wand, the Fiona Fitzowen's Loot, which can be very useful to increase your healing modifier, a Meteoric Iron Belt, a Warlock's Chain, and a Cloak with a bunch of strength. Right now, I am looking at 300 or more strength, as well as 68 dexterity and 90 intelligence. This gives me about 1500 health and about 900 focus, which is more than enough for the sieges. And then if you want to see my trees in terms of bar tree, this is my bar tree. Important points are Atonal Area, which I've increased to 150. Melodive Mending is a bit over 100, and Refrain of Resistance is at 120, with my passives at around 125 and my specialization at 100. And then my heavy armor skills are very low. Passives are at 100, the other ones are around 40. Shield tree is passives at about 100, and the active skills that I use, Bolster, Balance, and Deflect, at around 90. And that's pretty much it for the trees. So now I'm going to show you how I start my deck. So I'm simply going to... Oh, and I forgot to... no, everything's going to be fine here. So what I do, I pop into my first deck, stack Spellbinder Stance, start stacking my songs while they're up there. I'm going to bring them to a 6 stack each, and then I can mind log them and focus on my buffs. And there we go. So you have the 3 songs that are now 6 stacks. Now I will cast my main buffs, so Strength of Earth. I cast the Etheric Feedback by accident. I wanted to cast the Shield of Crystal. Then I can swap decks. As you can see here, these slots have changed, but these have remained the same, and I did not lose my stacks. So now I can cast Bolster Balance, Inner Strength, and Defensive Stance. And then I can swap decks once again and be in my combat deck. So I'm going to cast Mind Lock one last time. And then I come here, right here, to cast my first Atonal Area. And then I'm simply going to jump over and start looking at these mobs a strange way until they simply end up being loot. For the sieges, you have 3 catapult regions. Okay, we can actually see all 3 of them from here. So this one is the first catapult. As you can see, it has the red flag, the red banner right here. And if we look a bit further, we see the other red banner here and the other one here. How sieges work is simply that there are 6 siege engineers per catapult that you need to take down to deactivate that catapult. You will see that the catapult is deactivated once this red banner has dropped. So we're going to take care of these next 2 siege engineers Gotta make sure that we cast the tonal area as much as possible. Keep it stacked up. And then take care of these siege engineers. So as you can see, the banner is up right now. As soon as this guy drops, you're going to see the banner disappear. And there we go. So this this catapult has been taken care of. So now we can head over to the other one. If we want to use the path, the regular path, you have it right here. You're going to get a bunch of extra even cultist fighters and wizards and archers that are going to hit you. This can be used to simply gather a bunch of extra scraps. You can take their weapons, sell them, salvage them. It's never wasted. They give a little bit of gold and reagents too, so always useful. So we're going to head over to the next catapult. Now, we might be unlucky, and Avera's going to be already gone from here. If that's the case, we will end up fighting a Lich Mage at the end of these 3 catapults. So we're just going to take care of these guys. Make sure our tonal area is going. In my case, I do not need a lot of healing here. But if you do need a bit more healing, you can simply cast Melody of Mending as well, and then you've got your extra healing spell here. Keeping Deflect up is very smart in this area because the Siege Engineers and there are archers, other archers as well, they deal a lot of damage. Deflect is going to help you block a lot of those arrows. So as you can see, we've finished dealing with the 6th Siege Engineer. Our banner is gone. We can now loot and head over to the next catapult, which is right here. So we follow the little path here. We're going to cast a tonal area again. Then we just walk through them. So as you can see here, I got stunned. I simply clicked my Knight's Grace and the stun has worn off. You do not need to do anything else. If you do not have Knight's Grace, or if you are using light armor instead, you can simply jump a few times, and generally that will remove the crowd control off of you. Now, as soon as we finish dealing with the 6th Siege Engineer on this catapult, we will get a message, much like in the random encounters, if you have done those already, which will tell us that a great danger has arrived, which is simply that Kabbalist, or Lich, if you are unlucky. So if we look around, here we go. We've got Avera here, ready to fight us. So we will go and sit beside him. And then here, once I start fighting the Kabbalists, I will use my Melody of Mending and Refrain of Resistance as well, just to get that extra bit of sustain and resistances. It's a smart idea to also position yourself. In my case, since I'm hidden behind these rocks, all these mages and archers are hitting me as if I was behind cover, which is keeping me protected that bit more. So always try to use the terrain and all this cover to your advantage while you are fighting these Kabbalists. You can also make sure to keep your buffs up. Now these Kabbalists, like I said, they have a chance to drop either their hood or their weapon. There is one of the Kabbalists that only holds a shield. You can drop his shield in that case. They also have a chance to drop Shield of the Wicked King, which is one of the favorite shields for PvP players. So that is always a nice drop to get. Now, I don't know what happened here. So, as I was saying, you take your water elemental out to fight these Kabbalists to give you a bit of extra help. This Avera guy is really giving it to me today. Not quite sure what's going on with that. But yeah, attempt number 3 at this point. You guys probably missed the second attempt there. I'm not going to include that into the video. But yeah, we've died twice here. It usually goes a lot better. So we're gonna attempt it again. Just make sure to keep our buffs up. We're gonna change decks and get our glancing blow and deflect on, which we forgot to do for this one. Then oftentimes against these Kabbalists, a smart idea is to take Purify with you. Purify will remove much of these, the poisons and things like that, so that will help you. But for now, we should be fine. I think this fight's going a lot better than the other ones. Would be surprised to see my health drop all of a sudden to 0. We're just gonna focus on this guy. And there we go. Easy peasy. So once you loot this guy, you get a bunch of everything. Like I said, you can sometimes drop their hoods. You can sometimes drop a Shield of the Wicked King. So once you're done, once the siege has been lifted, you've accumulated 18 Arcane Catalysts. So these Arcane Catalysts, which I will show you right here. These things here, you can give them to the scout here at the entrance. You simply have to say Arcane Catalyst to him. And then you can give him 18 of those catalysts and get a Shield of Attraction and some nice experience. You can do the sieges more than once per day, so you can accumulate more catalysts, but you cannot complete the quest more than once per day. So that was it. That was your siege guide. There is also another type of siege. There is the Hills Siege, which I will try to get you guys in another video, probably doing the sieges as a light armor bard instead to show that aspect as well. Hope you guys liked the video. I'll catch you in the next one. Don't forget to drop a like and a subscribe.